not, it's not like we just, telling everybody our secrets or anything like that. You don't mean that, I used to think it was that, actually. But we're not telling anybody. But no, it's not like that. We're actually opening up in Bhagavatam class and other forums as well. And in general, amongst devotees, we might find somebody we can confide certain things in for guidance and like that. It's a whole spectrum of give and take with, knowledge and gifts. What gifts do we give as an individual and a movement?
Japa bag. I've given it, so that's why it just came to my head.
A japa bag.
Yeah.
I
I
also
also gifted Srila Prabhupada's picture to someone. So even that. Oh, I gifted
books,
Krishna Balram's picture also to someone. So yeah.
Yeah, I
books
mean,
as well.
as long as you give them the beads, that's the most important thing. You've got to give them the beads. Yeah, we give them Krishna consciousness in the form of instructions, Harinam, book distribution, like that. And they give donations, like, whatever they can afford, they give to the movement. And that helps us to carry on. This is the whole process. It's 6 reciprocations of love. Nobody's actually getting paid. We're all actually doing it out of voluntary. So there's a lot of love there we don't realize it, but just that we're actually surrendering to, to this movement and doing the things that we need to make progress. That's a big, big show of love, isn't it? We're really appreciating what the movement's offering us. So that's what Prabhupada says anyway. It's not that we necessarily feel, love in the heart. We will do in due course, but it's not necessarily that we always feel that, because we're not, we may not be advanced enough, but we should be understood that our activities are a sign of love. Love is a verb, isn't it? A doing word. It's not just a saying word that, it's not just lip service we give. It's actually practical application that shows our sincerity. Oh, I love you, I love you, I love you. Okay, I understand. What are you going to do about it? Most people, they probably won't do anything. It's a sign that, okay, if you really think something about somebody, you'll actually do something practical to help or to please them. Okay, so we got to share. Oh, we don't have to share. Everybody's got books. Is that right? I wonder where Jack is this week.
I know I sent him a message.
Okay, don't. Anyway, some weeks it's not possible. So who'd like to read first? Maybe Don and Sita. Don can read. I'll just read the translation.
Read.
Hare Krishna. Sorry, Don has a sore throat. He still has flu.
You got the flu?
You can't see.
Okay, Sim.
Okay. Do we start on text 5?
Have you got the flu as well?
Oh.
Okay. Carry on then. It's a translation.
5. Okay. Sorry. Okay. One should mentally honor the devotees who chant. Sorry, I'll start again. One should mentally honor the devotee who chants the holy name of Lord Krishna. One should offer humble obeisance to a devotee who has undergone spiritual initiation, diksha, and is engaged in worshipping the deity. And one should associate with and faithfully serve that pure devotee who is advanced in undeviated devotional service and whose heart is completely devoid of the propensity to criticize others. Purport. In order to intelligently apply the sixfold loving reciprocations mentioned in the previous verse, one must select proper persons with careful discrimination. Srila Rupa Goswami therefore advises that we should meet with the Vaishnavas in an appropriate way according to their particular status. In this verse, he tells us how to deal with three types of devotees: the Kanistha Adhikari, Madhyama Adhikari, and Uttama Adhikari. The Kanistha Adhikari is a neophyte who has received the Harinama initiation from the spiritual master and is trying to chant the holy name of Krishna. One should respect such a person within his mind as a Kanistha Vaishnava. A Madhyama Adhikari has received spiritual initiation from the spiritual master and has been fully engaged by him in the transcendental loving service of the Lord. The Madhyama Adhikari should be considered to be situated midway in devotional service. The Uttama Adhikari, or highest devotee, is one who is very advanced in devotional service. An Uttama Adhikari is not interested in blaspheming others. His heart is completely clean, and he has attained the realized state of unalloyed Krishna consciousness. According to Srila Rupa Goswami, the association and service of such a Mahabhagavata, or perfect Vaishnava, are most desirable. Carry on. One should not remain a Kanistha Adhikari, one who is situated on the lowest platform of devotional service and is interested only in worshipping the deity in the temple. Such a devotee is described in the 11th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam.
Okay.
Archaya.
You can stop there. Yeah, so 3 levels. Adhikar means qualification to be a Kanishta. So we'll hear more about it as we go along. And this is a Kanishta Adhikari. So, Rachel, do you want to read?
Sorry, Maharaj, I have a question.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's an appropriate question. It might be a little offensive, but here it says an Uttama Adhikari is not interested in blaspheming others. Yeah, his heart is completely clean. What if there is a certain personality who has thousands of disciples and is very inspiring and everything, but still I see, I'm not taking any names, but I see that he also criticizes others quite a bit. So at my position, I cannot recognize who is Uttama Adhikari and who is not, but just seeing that he has like such a big, I don't know, like too many disciples. So one would assume that they would be at that level, but then they don't hold back on saying things about, someone else.
Well, there's a few things to take into consideration is that, what is he saying and who about? Because it may be constructive criticism. It may be for the benefit of all concerned, but we may not be able to appreciate that. Right? So we have to understand, what is he saying? What is he saying is about? What context is it in? And what's the goal of that criticism? Like, amongst senior devotees, they'll not always agree. And so a young disciple, a young devotee is advised not to get caught up in what they're talking about and start to interfere, because we're not able to understand their motivation and the subject matter very well. So we may actually criticize somebody. We may develop a critical mentality because we don't understand, the situation. So it's not long to observe these things and bring it up like you've done. But, we don't take it any further than actually inquiring like you're doing. And so that's one thing. Another thing is that we can't tell who is actually on the highest platform, an Uttama Adhikari. It may not, 1,000 disciples is a good indication that the person's potent in preaching and is qualified. But we can't just go on numbers, you know what I mean? It depends.
Yeah.
It's actually that somebody may have no disciples and he may be actually really advanced.
Yeah.
So we can't go on externals too much either. It's only an indication that, he may have, he's actually able to inspire so many people. Yeah, I mean, in Lord Chaitanya's pastimes, people who we would walk past, like in Vrindavan, there's many beggars, They'll sit on the side of the road with a tin and they're just like waiting for people. And, they may be Uttama Adhikaris. You know what I mean? I don't think there will be if they're begging, but maybe because sannyasi actually also he goes begging door to door, but for a different reason. What people think, he doesn't have to do that. So I went on a rickshaw last time. I was in Vrindavan. I was going to try and buy an harmonium, so we were going up to one part of Vrindavan, and I started haggling about the price, and then he agreed, and and all the way there we're shouting, Radhe, 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 Radhe. I thought, it must be an Uttamadhikari. I don't shout like that. All the way. And when I left him, he went off into the distance, Radhe, Radhe, Radhe. All day he's chanting the names of Radharani, And he's got no shoes on,
Oh,
And, okay. Anyway, I think it makes the point.
thank you, Maharaj.
Okay, it was Rachel, we said, didn't we?
Thanks, Maharaj. So yeah, we're on the Sanskrit Tamil. Archayange laharaye pujang ya shrataye hate natat bhakteshu janeshu sa bhakte prakrite smritaha. A person who is very faithfully engaged in the worship of the deity in the temple, but who does not know how to behave toward devotees or people in general, is called a prakrita bhakta or kanishta adhikari. One therefore has to raise himself from the position of kanishta adhikari to the platform of madhyama adhikari. The madhyama adhikari is described in Srimad Bhagavatam in this way: Ishvari tat adheneshu baleshu div ishatashacha prema matri kripo iksha ya karoti samadhyamaha. The Madhyama Adhikari is a devotee who worships the Supreme Personality of Godhead as the highest object of love, makes friends with the Lord's devotees, is merciful to the ignorant, and avoids those who are envious by nature. This is the way to cultivate devotional service properly. Therefore, in this verse, Srila Rupa Goswami has advised us how to treat various devotees. We can see from practical experience that there are different types of Vaishnavas. The Prakrita Sahajias generally chant the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra, yet they are attached to women, money, and intoxication. Although such persons may chant the holy name of the Lord, they are not yet properly purified. Some people should be respected within one's mind, but their association should be avoided. Those who are innocent but simply carried away by bad association should be shown favour if they are eager to receive proper instructions from pure devotees. But those neophyte devotees who are actually initiated by the bona fide spiritual master and are seriously engaged in carrying out the orders of the spiritual master should be offered respectful obeisances. In this Krishna consciousness movement, as a chance is given to everyone without discrimination of caste, creed, or colour. Everyone is invited to join this movement, sit with us, take prasad, and hear about Krishna. When we see that someone is actually interested in Krishna consciousness and wants to be initiated, we accept him as a disciple for the chanting of the holy name of the Lord. When a neophyte devotee is actually initiated and engaged in devotional service by the orders of the spiritual master, he should be accepted immediately as a bona fide Vaishnava, and obeisances should be offered unto him. Out of many such Vaishnavas, one may be found to be very seriously engaged in the service of the Lord and strictly following all the regulative principles, chanting the prescribed number of rounds on japa beads, and always thinking of how to expand the Krishna consciousness movement. Such a Vaishnava should be accepted as an Uttama Adhikari, a highly advanced devotee, and his association should always be sought.
Okay. Any questions on that?
So it mentions that one may be found to be very seriously engaged in service of the Lord, strictly following all the regulative principles, chanting the prescribed number of rounds, and thinking of how to expand Krishna consciousness. So that Vaishnava should be accepted as an Uttama Adhikari. So if someone is doing all of that and checks those boxes, we accept them as Uttama Adhikari.
That's what it says anyway.
But isn't that a bit contradictory to what we were speaking about earlier when I
You
asked
mean about the person who's got, yeah, it's not a subject matter that you can actually put in boxes, that's the thing.
Hmm.
You know what I mean? There's so many, we may find it, can't we, that somebody who's in such a position, he may leave the movement. And it's happened. But, under certain situations, so, you can't box this thing and, okay, I've got that sorted, I know what that is. It's like it's an individual thing. And when we're practicing devotional service, at any moment, it's up to us. We don't have to practice. Yeah. Jai Krishna Prabhu.
I say these things are certainly external manifestations of something going on internally. And if someone's doing all these things, there's obviously something going on internally for them to do that. It's like if someone's in love with money, the external manifestation is he'll go all out to earn money. So these are like external manifestations, aren't they?
Yeah. Anyway, it's a good point. I mean, my point is that, we don't know who is who most of the time. And the indications I said before are there that these persons are actually on that platform. But I made the point that it's not the only consideration, that's all. That somebody who may not be in that situation may also be an Uttama Adhikari. Like, Gauri Kishore Das Babaji, he didn't preach. But he was the spiritual master of Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, who was one of the most powerful preachers who's been in our movement. He spread the Gauri Master 64 branches throughout the whole of India in maybe 10 years or something like that. And he took initiation from Gauri Kishore Das Babaji. You understand my point? That's the point I'm making. But Jai Krishna's right, is that, you know, it shows that the person's serious. Just let me answer the door. So I'll just. It shows that we're serious, but there's a lot of purification going on inside. You know what I mean? But anyway, I think the safest way to go is, you know, obviously the safest way to go is that somebody who's seen to be doing that, they're not ordinary people. They're actually elevated souls. They're well established in Krishna consciousness. And from that standpoint, we should see things, you know. And but bear in mind that the point I'm trying to make is that those who are not necessarily having so much success, they may be also advanced. So we shouldn't be too much caught up on the externals. Yeah, and then we offer respects to everybody. And a devotee's mood is that actually everybody's better than me anyway. You know what I mean? If we're actually advancing in devotional service, we'll always see that in some way, shape or other, every individual has got some quality that we aspire for, you know, they're better than us. Anybody else like to add anything to that? Yeah.
I was thinking, I suppose, is the danger of having like certain things, judging people by how they should behave. It's easy to judge yourself because it's very difficult to yes, difficult to see what's going on, really. That's what I find anyway. It's a lot easier just to judge yourself
Yeah,
and,
yeah.
and leave everything else to Krishna and whatever. But
Yeah, it's a good question because we need to broach these questions if we're, you know, trying to find out where to take shelter and why we want to take shelter, where we're going to take shelter, who to take shelter of, then these questions will naturally arise. And they're not easy to answer. That's why it's, you know, it's like Prabhupada said, that it's not Prabhupada didn't say, but you know, it's where our heart is at the end of the day. When we have to have sufficient knowledge not to make a sentimental choice on anything. We need knowledge, but we also need to have, you know, we're living entities, and we have attractions and dislikes, and so we also have to be satisfied in that respect to some degree. Yeah.
Yes.
So in that way, you know, it'll be natural that we'll be attracted to some more than others. And it's not necessarily that we ignore that and just become attracted to what the Shastra says, you know, in like a uniform way, but it's an affair of the of attraction as well. Attraction with knowledge. Yeah.
actually, I was thinking about something the other day. Ironically, I was something similar to Kushbu. I was looking at some devotees and thinking, oh, this is a bit off. And then I remembered that verse in Bhagavad Gita where it says every action is covered by some fault. So just it's kind of the duality of the world, isn't it? So you'll find
Yeah.
fault in everything. Yeah, that's just how it'll be.
Yeah.
Say something. No, it's actually because I watch this personalities videos like a lot, maybe every other day. But I mean, he just has very strong views on a lot of things. And there seems to be like, there's full on videos about, you know, some criticism for somebody else, like a Vaishnav. And then I read this in the book, like we just read it, and then it just came up in my mind that why? So, which is why the question.
ISKCON devotees.
Yeah.
I suppose other people would see that criticism and think he's fighting the good fight. He's trying to do Krishna's work. Do you know what I mean? Other people will see that.
Yeah, I mean, it's always going to be like that to some degree because we're persons.
Mm.
I mean, I was there was it was like a leadership thing, and the people write on it, about things what's going off in the movement and decisions that are made. And one devotee wrote in and put his point of view forward, and I was thinking that, in a different way. I was thinking that, but there's nothing wrong with what he did. He put his point of view forward, but it's not what I would have done. You understand?
Mm. Yeah.
And it's not the way I understand it. And then a few days later, I got some information I was looking at an old video of a course I went on, and he expanded on that, and it explained things to me. Yeah.
Yes, Maharaj.
It's like a GBC. One leader came to, I think, Badri Narayan Prabhu, actually. He's a very outspoken person, but he's very intelligent. He came to Bhaktivedanta Manor for the first time, and he was giving Bhagavatam classes, and he so he introduced himself. He says, "My name is Badri Narayan. I am a member of the GBC, and my service is to take all the criticism." And that's what it is. As soon as you actually get a post, you're going to get criticised because you're not going to please everybody. And so you have to accept that. So don't worry too much about, don't get into them things too much. It's good to observe, but, in a passive way. And then in course of time, you'll actually, things will start to fall into place. That's the whole purpose of hearing. The more we hear, the more we understand. Okay. Where did we get to now? And we're on to the process. So who read last? It was Rachel, was it? So we'll have anything else on Kanishta, Madhyam, and Uttama. Okay, we'll read a bit more then. Maybe Jai Krishna Prabhu.
Okay, so it's the process by which we're starting there, yeah? The process by which a devotee becomes attached to Krishna is described in Chaitanya Charitamrita, Antya 4192. Diksha Kale Bhaktakare Atma Samarpana Se Kale Krishnatare Kare Atma Sama. At the time of initiation, when a devotee fully surrenders to the service of the Lord, Krishna accepts him to be as good as himself. Diksha, or spiritual initiation, is explained in the Bhakti Sandarbha 283 by Srila Jiva Goswami. Divyam Jnanam Yato Dadyat Kuryat Papasya Sankshayam Tasmad Diksheti Sa Prokta Deshikais Tattva Kovidayaha. By Diksha, one gradually becomes disinterested in material enjoyment and gradually becomes interested in spiritual life. We have seen many practical examples of this, especially in Europe and America. Many students who come to us from rich and respectable families quickly lose all interest in material enjoyment and become very eager to enter into spiritual life. Although they come from very wealthy families, many of them accept living conditions that are not very comfortable. Indeed, for Krishna's sake, they are prepared to accept any living condition as long as they can live in the temple and associate with the Vaishnavas. When one becomes so disinterested in material enjoyment, he becomes fit for initiation by the spiritual master. For the advancement of spiritual life, Srimad Bhagavatam 6.113 prescribes tapas brahmacharyena samena cha damena cha. When a person is serious about accepting Diksha, he must be prepared to practice austerity, celibacy, and control of the mind and body. If one is so prepared and is desirous of receiving spiritual enlightenment, Divyam Jnanam, he is fit for being initiated. Divyam Jnanam is technically called Tad Vigyan, or knowledge about the Supreme. Tad Vigyanatham Sagurum Eva Bigachate. When one is interested in transcendental subject matter of the absolute truth, he should be initiated. Such a person should approach a spiritual master in order to take Diksha. Srimad Bhagavatam 11.3.21 also prescribes Tasmad Gurum Prapadyeta Gigyasuhu Shreya Uttamam. When one is actually interested in the transcendental science of the absolute truth, he should approach a spiritual master.
Okay. Anything on initiation? There's more to say actually on initiation, so we'll read on. Who's not read yet? Tisha Master, you would like to read?
Yes, ma'am. One should not accept a spiritual master without following his instructions, nor should one accept a spiritual master just to make a fashionable show of spiritual life. One must be jitnyasu, very much inquisitive to learn from the bona fide spiritual master. The inquiries one makes should strictly pertain to transcendental science. Jitnyasu Shriya Uttamam. The word Uttamam refers to that which is above material knowledge. Tama means the darkness of this material world, and Ut means transcendental. Generally, people are very interested in inquiring about mundane subject matters, but when one has lost such interest and is simply interested in transcendental subject matters, he is quite fit for being initiated. When one is actually initiated by a bona fide spiritual master, and when he seriously engages in the service of Lord, he should be accepted as a Madhyama Adhikari. The
Okay.
chanting, okay, should I continue?
Yeah.
Okay. The chanting of the holy names of Krishna is so sublime that if one chants the Hare Krishna Mahamantra offenselessly, carefully avoiding the 10 offenses, he can certainly be gradually elevated to the point of understanding that there is no difference between the holy name of the Lord and the Lord himself. One who has reached such an understanding should be very much respected by neophyte devotees. One should know for certain that without chanting the holy name of the Lord offenselessly, one cannot be proper candidate for advancement in Krishna consciousness. In Chaitanya Charitamrita Madhya Lila 2269, it is said, Yahara Komala Shraddha Ye Se Kanishta Jana Krame Krame Teno Bhakta Haibe Uttama. One whose faith is soft and pliable is called a neophyte, but by gradually following the process, he will rise to the platform of the first class devotee. Everyone begins his devotional life from the neophyte stage, but if one properly finishes the chanting the prescribed number of rounds of Harinama, he is elevated step by step to the highest platform, Uttama Adhikari. The Krishna consciousness movement prescribes 16 rounds daily because people in Western countries cannot concentrate for long periods while chanting on beats. Therefore, the minimum number of rounds is prescribed. However, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur used to say that unless one chants at least 64 rounds of japa, 100,000 names, he is considered fallen, patita. According to his calculation practically every one of is fallen. But because we are trying to serve the Supreme Lord with all seriousness and without duplicity, we can expect the mercy of Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who is famous as Patita Pavana, the deliverer of the fallen.
Okay, so that's a relief, isn't it? Phew. I'm getting a bit worried there. Yeah, so yeah, we get mercy from Lord Chaitanya. We're trying our best, but we may be struggling, we may be floundering, and that in one respect, that helps us to take shelter of Krishna. We won't take proper shelter if we always think we're doing well, and that things are going easy, and we won't get purified. Purification means understanding, what our real position is and being able to act on that platform. Anything else on that? Yeah, because people of the West cannot concentrate for long periods. Like Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, I think in his mat, most of those who lived in the mat, they chanted 64 rounds. And those outside, Riastas, I think, at least 16 rounds like that. And so, because they had more to do, they had, occupation, family, like that. And so the lifestyle also is, like in the West, if devotees were chanting 64 rounds anyway, we may be not doing as much service as might be required to actually push on this movement. But when Prabhupada came, and after a time they got initiated, they were asking, he said, I think it was Prabhupada who started the conversation. So how many rounds shall we chant? And he first said 64. And they all, the bottom chin, the mouths drop, But it's okay, 32, and again, 25. So it's okay, 16 and all that, at least 16. So being a Sharia, he understood that what were practical, the key, what is it? There's aims and what's the other one? When it's principle. The principle is to chant Hare Krishna. And then Prabhupada gave us how to chant it according to, he gave us a medicine according to our ability to digest it. So we shouldn't feel that, in one respect, it'd be nice if we could chant 64. But let's just get on with what we can do at the moment. That's the point. And this is what Prabhupada knew. And so he engaged his disciples in a lot of service. Who else is there to read? Khushbu Masjid.
Hare Krishna. When Srila Satyaraj Khan, a great devotee of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, asked the Lord how a Vaishnava could be recognized, the Lord replied, Prabhu kahe, yanra mukhe, suni ekabara, Krishna nama se pujya, shreshta sabakara. If one hears a person say even once the word Krishna, that person should be accepted as the best man out of the common group. C.C. Madhya, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu continued, Ataiva yanra mukhe eka Krishna nama, sheta Vaishnava, kariha tanhara sammana. One who is interested in chanting the holy name of Krishna or who by practice likes to chant Krishna's names should be accepted as a Vaishnava and offered respects as such, at least within one's mind. C.C. Madhya 1511. One of our friends, a famous English musician, has become attracted to chanting the holy names of Krishna, and even in his records, he has several times mentioned the holy name of Krishna. At his home, he offers respect to pictures of Krishna and also to the preachers of Krishna consciousness. In all regards, he has a very high estimation for Krishna's name and Krishna's activities. Therefore, we offer respects to him without reservation. For we are actually seeing that this gentleman is advancing gradually in Krishna consciousness. Such a person should always be shown respect. The conclusion is that anyone who is trying to advance in Krishna consciousness by regularly chanting the holy name should always be respected by Vaishnavas. On the other hand, we have witnessed that some of our contemporaries who are supposed to be great preachers have gradually fallen into the material conception of life because they have failed to chant the holy name of the Lord.
Okay, so that's more or less reinforcing what we've said earlier. Who's that person he's talking about? Come on, you all know.
Madhyamadikari.
Eh?
I feel like talking about George Harrison. Isn't it?
George Harrison, yeah.
Oh, like that. Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What did she say?
Prabhupada liked him a lot. When Prabhupada was leaving his body, or in the later stages, he couldn't move, and he took his ring off. And there were all these leading men there, Tamal Krishna Goswami, the commander-in-chief, and all the generals. And he says, and he held it up, and he thought he would have given it to one of them. He says, give this ring to George. I don't know whether it got there or not, but but that's what he said. And so, because he actually did so much service, he met so many devotees through his records. So we should be sure that we're on the right path and that we've got Krishna's mercy. We just have to keep trying. That's the thing. And, anything else? Okay, well, let Krishna Master, you can read it.
Yes, Maharaj. From where exactly? While giving instructions to Sanatana Goswami, right?
Yeah.
While giving instructions to Sanatana Goswami, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu divided devotional service into three categories. Shastra Yukti Nahi Ne Dhrita Shraddhavan, Madhyama Adhikai Se Mahabhagyavan. A person whose conclusive knowledge of the Shastras is not very strong, but who has developed firm faith in chanting the Hare Krishna Mahamantra, and who is also undeterred in the execution of his prescribed devotional service, should be considered a Madhyamadikari. Such a person is very fortunate. A Madhyamadikari is a Shraddhavan, a staunchly faithful person, and he is actually a candidate for further advancement in devotional service. Therefore, the Chaitanya Charitamrita, it is said, Shraddhavan jana hai bhakti adhikari, uttama madhyama kanishta shraddha anusari. One becomes qualified as a devotee on the elementary platform, the intermediate platform, and the highest platform of devotional service, according to the development of his Shraddha, faith. Again, in Chaitanya Charitamrita, it is said, Shraddha Shabde Vishwasa Kahe Shraddha Nishaya Krishna Bhakti Kaile Sarva Karma Kritahaya. By rendering incidental service to Krishna, one automatically performs all subsidiary activities. This confident, firm faith, favorable to the discharge of devotional service, is called Shraddha. Shraddha, faith in Krishna, is the beginning of Krishna consciousness. Faith means strong faith. The words of Bhagavad Gita are authoritative instructions for faithful men, and whatever Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita is to be accepted as it is, without interpretation. This was the way Arjuna accepted Bhagavad Gita. After hearing Bhagavad Gita, Arjuna told Krishna, Sarva Metha Dhritam Manye Yanmam Badasi Keshava. O Krishna, I totally accept as truth all that you have told me. This is the correct way of understanding Bhagavad Gita, and this is called Shraddha. It is not that one accepts a portion of Bhagavad Gita according to his own whimsical interpretations and then rejects another portion. This is not Shraddha. Shraddha means accepting the instructions of Bhagavad Gita in their totality, especially the last instruction, Sarva Dharma Parityaja Mam Ekam Sharanam Raja. Abandon all varieties of religion and just surrender unto me. When one becomes completely faithful in regard to this instruction, one's strong faith becomes the basis for advancing in spiritual life. When one fully engages in chanting the Hare Krishna Mahamantra, he gradually realizes his own spiritual identity. Unless one faithfully chants the Hare Krishna mantra, Krishna does not reveal himself. Sevam mukhe hi jivado swayam eva spurati adha. We cannot realize the Supreme Personality of Godhead by any artificial means. We must engage faithfully in the service of the Lord. Such service begins with the tongue. Sevam mukhe hi jivado, which means that we should always chant the holy names of the Lord and accept Krishna Prasada. We should not chant or accept anything else. When this process is faithfully followed, the Supreme Lord reveals himself to the devotee.
Okay, thank you. In this endeavour, there is no loss or diminution, and a little advancement can protect one from the most dangerous type of fear. So we'll let Jai Krishna read. I'm just going to blank out for 2 minutes. I'll be reading anyway. Okay, from when a person.
When a person realizes himself to be an eternal servitor of Krishna, he loses interest in everything but Krishna's service, always thinking of Krishna, devising means by which to spread the holy name of Krishna. He understands that his only business is in spreading the Krishna consciousness movement all over the world. Such a person is to be recognized as an Uttama Adhikari, and his association should be immediately accepted according to the 6 processes, Dadati, Prati, Grihnani, etc. Indeed, the advanced Uttama Adhikari, Vaishnava devotee, should be accepted as a spiritual master. Everything one possesses should be offered to him, for it is enjoined that one should deliver whatever he has to the spiritual master. The brahmachari in particular is supposed to beg alms from others and offer them to the spiritual master. However, one should not imitate the behavior of an advanced devotee or Mahabhagavat without being self-realized, but by such imitation, one will eventually become degraded. In this verse, Srila Rupa Goswami advises the devotee to be intelligent enough to distinguish between the Kanishta Adhikari, Madhyama Adhikari, and Uttama Adhikari. The devotee should also know his own position and should not try to imitate a devotee situated on a higher platform. Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur has given some practical hints to the effect that an Uttama Adhikari Vaishnav can be recognized by his ability to convert many fallen souls to Vaishnavism. One should not become a spiritual master unless he has attained the platform of Uttama Adhikari. A neophyte Vaishnava or a Vaishnava situated on the intermediate platform can also accept disciples, but such disciples must be on the same platform, and it should be understood that they cannot advance very well towards the ultimate goal of life under his insufficient guidance. Therefore, a disciple should be careful to accept an Uttama Adhikari as a spiritual master.
Okay, any discussion on that or questions? So it gives a description of a Uttama Adhikari, always engaged in devotional service, trying to spread the movement. Recognized by his ability to convert many fallen souls to Vaishnavism. So there's many devotees in ISKCON like that. Jai Krishna Prabhu.
I suppose you could argue that, I mean, most of the devotees within ISKCON, they're effectively, I mean, most of the devotees in ISKCON are convinced by Prabhupada himself by reading Prabhupada's books, or by devotees talking about what they've learned in Prabhupada's books.
Yeah.
So you could argue the Uttama Adhikari is Prabhupada himself, and all the others are just passing his message on, right?
You could.
I mean, to be honest, most people will hark to Prabhupada as something like as the center of their spiritual life and understanding, right? Most devotees across the board in ISKCON.
Yeah. So actually, there's an ISKCON law like that. It says that you can accept initiation from a present spiritual master, and but it's where you get inspiration from as well. During, even though you take initiation, you make the vows like, you've signed on the dotted line and you've got the rubber stamp. I once said that when I at an initiation ceremony. Did I tell you about this? And I would describe an initiation as it starts from, a long way back, and how Krishna sees in the heart, starts directing you to, and then, gradually become more serious about spiritual life. And then you meet a devotee and you start to become interested in bhakti yoga. And then when you become serious, you decide that you're going to make it your life, and you're going to promise to follow the vows. And I said, that's when you sign on the dotted line, and you get the rubber stamp. There's no going back. And one of the other speakers later on, he says, and he actually, I got some criticism about, what rubber stamp? But anyway. Anyway, what I say now before I go on to that? How did I get on to that?
We were talking about Uttamadhikaris and how most people in ISKCON are.
Oh, that's it, yeah. So in that course we've just done, disciple course, it's there's all three, Diksha, Shiksha, and Prabhupada. And Prabhupada's the preeminent Shiksha guru for everybody. He's the one who, if we're in doubt, we just go to Prabhupada's books. And, we'll find the answers there to some degree. We won't understand Prabhupada's books completely all the time either. So we're going to need it's like a combination. And that's the beauty about ISKCON. We've got that, we're not just reliant on one person. And, even in our history, some devotees, they took initiation, like Bhaktivinoda Thakur. I don't know what the situation actually was, but he took initiation from Vipinath Bihari, and he was considered, he was a Vaishnava. I don't know what kind of Vaishnava, I don't know anything about it, but he found that he could get more shiksha from Jagannath Das Babaji. There was actually an argument about one of the philosophical argument. But it's not that we leave one and join another, or vice versa. We actually stay within the process. And the ISKCON law says if you're finding that you're ultimately you can actually always go to Prabhupada for your shiksha, if you know what I mean. Yeah.
I was reading the other day that like our lineage is mainly a Shiksha lineage as well. It's not a Diksha lineage.
Yeah, it's shiksha, not always diksha.
Yeah.
So it's where we get it. The point is, what's the point of disciplic succession if it's just a rubber stamp and a fire swaha, fire sacrifice? It's not. It's where we're getting the knowledge from. That's what's maintaining the parampara. And so that's a main. Well, okay. Did you hear that? You didn't hear that ringing, no? Okay, that's good. Okay, I've got to call back to Vinod now, so you can save any questions. If you've got any questions, we can have a quick one. It's ringing again, so we'll call it a day. See you next week. Hare Krishna. Srila Prabhupada ki.
Yeah.
Jai Hare Krishna.